Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look out, buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
We're talking about the cars, and we're going to talk later about alternate fuels. You always, people, no, you don't always say, but Chuck always tells me that I'm always complaining about electric cars, but I don't come up with alternatives because there hasn't been, well, there is. And we're going to talk about alternative fuels that I did a little research on. And they're spinning their wheels and they're backpedaling, your government and the fat cats that are running this show.
No, that never happened.
No, yes, they are. First, we'll do a few more of these little babies because these are pretty important. These things that I've been giving you are pretty important. Because you can look for a strike now. The union is going to go on strike. The dealers will be charging $1 million for their cars again. You watch. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is, on Wednesday, sued the servicing arm of U.S. Auto Sales, alleging USASF servicing cost consumers more than $10.1 billion by mishandling guaranteed assets, protection refunds, double billing for collateral protection insurance, and failing to apply excess customer payments to the interest. These guys they got caught. They are caught. Whatever, they're in trouble. Anyway, the U.S. Northern District of Georgia lawsuit also alleged that the USASF servicing wrongfully repossessed vehicles at least 82 times. Wrongfully repossessed. They come out and take your car and there was no reason for it. Erroneously triggered vehicle starter interruption, kill switches at least 7,500 times on more than 71,000 instances, incorrectly activated a 10-second series of tones meant to signal late payments. A less severe kill switch feature, which customers turn their vehicles on or off, when customers turn them on and off. So they'll be glad to tell you that you're not paying the due. A similar issue arose with Gap on loans paid off early. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or Board, in a third-party lender payoff, the customer's loan paid off the customer's loan early as part of the refinance, for example, USAF servicing would request a refund and declare the cancellation date to be the payoff date. The CFPB said, but if a customer paid off a loan early, the USASF servicing allegedly did nothing unless the customer requested a refund specifically. So you had to ask for your money back if you paid it off early, and it would declare the request date, not the payoff date, to be the cancellation date. This cost 5,600 customers at least $6 million collectively.
Wow.
I mean, you talk about taking advantage of people in the loan system. And right now with the prices that were so high and everybody that needed a car had to buy one, and they got this loan, and they got it at 7%, 6%. It's terrible.
12%, 15%.
Yeah, exactly. They're hosing these people, and then when they do pay it off, they hose them again.
Well, if it can play a chime when you don't pay your bill, it should play a chime when you pay off your loan. Like, do, you paid off your loan.
Yay.
Stop in and get this thing ripped off out of your car.
Should be a little guy on the screen in your car going, yay.
It probably costs $5 extra.
Yeah, it probably does.
But so, I mean, I guess that's another interesting question, though, is do those devices get removed? I mean, do they tell you stop on by? And I mean, I wonder.
Yeah, once you pay it off, how can they leave that on your car?
Because I would imagine, like, let's say you have issues down the road, you can find they'd be liable for that. Let's say your car dies in the middle of the highway because their device failed.
Their device failed, absolutely.
That shouldn't have been on there in the first place.
Well, that's the whole story.
Yeah.
That's just exactly what's going on here. They're sabotaging these people's cars. I like where they repossessed all those cars that erroneously.
Right.
They just took them. Just came and got them. We're repossessing your car.
Well,
but I made all the payments. I
right.
don't care. We're repossessing it.
Well, and then if they do, again, same idea, though, you do damage to the car on the way out, towing
Oh,
or whatever.
absolutely.
Are you going to pay for that?
Who's going to pay for that?
Right.
Let's face it. Those guys are crooks, and they're getting caught. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau caught them, and they got them where they wanted.
Well, it's good to finally see somebody doing their job.
Chuck, the Rivian pickup truck, they only make one vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they have the big trucks for delivery because they're making the Amazon.
The Amazon trucks, right? So they're making. Right.
But their pickup, the R1T,
Mm-hmm.
fella had a fender bender. What do you think it cost to get it fixed?
Now, remember, I think we talked about this a couple months ago.
Well,
wasn't it like a $8,000 or something?
Well, that's what it should have cost. Fixing the minor damage on a Rivian pickup involved a fender bender last winter, cost $42,000.
Wow.
Nearly half the price of the truck. I expected it to be expensive, the truck's owner, Chris Applestat, said, or told the New York Times for a story last month. But it was still a shocking number. Applestat's repair, which was done at one of only 3 Ohio businesses certified to fix Rivians, involved replacing a panel that spans much of the R1T's length and necessitated removing the windshield and headliner.
Wow.
The insurance carrier of the driver who rear-ended the truck initially offered to only $1,600 because the damage had been minor. $1,600.
Well, okay,
but the bill was $4,200.
Right,
$42,000.
But this is something that people need to take into consideration. We've talked about, between the sensors, and you want to put cameras, and then you have to recalibrate. Like you said, the windshield needs to be recalibrated. All these sensors need to be recalibrated. So again, any minor little fender bender is now going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
It's unbelievable.
But the other thing to look at, so like the other day I was looking at my house. My insurance went way up, and it makes sense because the cost of materials went way up. So the cost to replace my house. So same idea with the car. What's going to happen to your car insurance when you go from?
It's going to go up.
Your car, your car is going to cost twice as much, and your car, any repair is going to cost 2 or 3 times as much.
Chuck, I would think that with all the safety devices, the self-braking and the lane correction and all that good stuff that they have,
right,
where you can't back up into anybody, you can't hit anybody going forward, I would think that they would have
until
a discount.
Right. But until the Rivian can jump out of the way of an uninsured driver.
Well, exactly.
That's the thing that's the whole thing is you can have all the safety features in the world. You can be the safest driver in the world. You can't, somebody runs a red light, somebody runs into you and they never have insurance.
Somebody driving it like he stole it.
Right.
Runs
and maybe they did stole it, whatever. But there's nothing that you can do to prevent that. And then what happens? Now somebody rear ends you, they drive off, you don't know who they are. You go to get it fixed. They go, oh, by the way, it's $42,000 and we're not covering it.
And you pass out.
Right. And they say, oh, by the way, you need a new battery.
If you told me $42,000, I would have passed out.
Right.
I would have laid on the floor.
So I guess the other question is on the manufacturer side, this goes back to the idea of we know people are going to bump into things. We know that they're going to need new fenders and new bumpers and things. So why would you create something? Let's not call it a disposable part. Let's call it a part that should be easily replaceable. If I get into a fender bender, just swap fenders, and it's like 4 bolts.
With modern technology, just how stupid is it to not have 3 or 4 panels that can be replaced?
Right. Basically,
why does the one take the whole side of the truck?
Well, and that's sort of the thing. I think sort of the bumpers now, right? A lot of them just have foam on the inside, and you can take them off with a couple bolts.
Exactly.
If you need to.
If you take and you hit that car, a Rivian, in the back, in the bed, on the side, the whole side of the truck's got to be replaced.
Right.
All the way to the front.
So it's basically like a unibody kind of thing. It sounds
That's just stupid.
Yeah. Again, that's poor planning on their part. Because
very
again,
poor planning.
that's going to hurt them when people hear these stories. They're going to go, well, do I want to be in that position? The same with the.
Well, I certainly don't want one of those trucks.
Right.
For $42,000 for a fender bender, that's crazy.
Right.
I just don't think it's not fair. It's not going to work.
Well, and hopefully that causes them and the other manufacturers to rethink this idea of, the balance between, we were joking about those hypercolor changing fenders and stuff. Well, that's great until that fender costs $30,000 to replace.
Yeah, to replace. When you get that.
You go, you know what, it's fine. I'll throw some duct tape on it. It's fine.
Exactly. then it won't work anymore because it won't change colors because it's broke.
Right.
But now I'll put some duct
And
tape
then imagine
on
going to
it.
your insurance agent and going, well, I need a $30,000 bumper because it doesn't change colors anymore. It works fine. It just doesn't change colors.
It's a good bumper.
It's a good bumper. It doesn't change. Oh,
It doesn't flash colors anymore.
Right. It doesn't have my name on it anymore.
Why would anybody in their right mind, first of all, buy a car a truck that expensive to repair, and then why would they buy a truck that only has 3 certified dealers to repair it in Ohio?
Well, okay, so
per state or whatever.
We had no idea how expensive it was until this story came out, right? I mean, nobody knew this.
Oh, I think Rivian
knew it, but it's not something you ask your dealer. Hey, how much would it cost me to get a fender bender?
Well, that's still not something that your dealer's going to volunteer any information about expensive repairs.
Right.
So don't crash it, don't scratch it. The paint job is $20,000.
Or the government's going to put it in your contract. So, oh, by the way, here's how much it's going to cost to get a new battery and a new fender.
Well, the government will take over and they'll regulate all this.
Right.
And then that panel that he put on will be $1,600.
Right.
That's just wrong.
But it'll take 3 years to get it.
So everybody, and right now we're talking about a strike in the car business. But this story bears telling. Automakers' spending on new vehicle incentives rose sharply in July, compared with the year earlier month, driven by electric vehicle offers, luxury car lease deals, and growing inventory across the industry, according to estimates by Motor Intelligence and J.D. Power. MI and J.D., all right, they're working together. Incentives are averaged $2,151 per vehicle last month, compared with $1,174 in July. So in other words, they're making deals again. You don't have to go and pay over sticker. They're making deals because nobody's still not buying them because they're so doggone expensive. With EV lineups, Lucid Motors leading the way with a $12,907 on the Air sedan. You can get $12,000 off if you buy one of their Air sedans. The one that just got recalled 3 times. Yeah, I want one of those. Can I have one of those, Dad? J.D. Power estimated July incentives at $1,830 per vehicle, compared with $908 in the year earlier month. The reason automakers are spending again is that retail inventory is growing, and it is. It's big, and they're still doing inventory control, but it can't go for long, said Tyson Jominy. Wow, what a name, Tyson Jominy, Vice President of Data and Analytics at J.D. Power. Last year it was under 800,000 retail units. This year it's over 1.2 million. Production issues are quickly receding into the background as production goes up. Inventory on the ground will increase. I'm telling you, there's a lot of incentives out there, and it goes. Lucid is the big one, $12,000.
Well, and you have to assume though too that what was happening with the like the big 3 is they sort of had, let's just say, like a gentleman's agreement that nobody, it's kind of like you don't want to get in a price war on anything. You don't, like your gas station doesn't want to get a price war with the guy across the street.
No, he doesn't.
So I think there was probably these gentlemen's agreements on incentives, and then someone like Elon shows up and just kind of throws that whole model out the window.
Oh, it just makes them cry.
Yeah, now you have to take them seriously.
If you want, we said the Lucid was $12,000. If you want a Polestar, which I have not seen one yet, $7,900 you can get deals. A Lincoln, $4,500, $4,591. So they're out there. Hyundai, Ford, they're $2,000-$3,000 on everybody. So the average is way higher than it was, and they're doing a good job. All right, I mean, it's really coming around, and it should be easier to buy vehicles. And I tell you that now, before I have to tell you next week that they're going on strike. Well, there's one more strike on the horizon that could be a problem, and this is the supply chain. The people that sell the parts to the dealers or the automakers. The Detroit 3 automakers aren't the only ones worried about contract talks with the UAW. The entire automotive supply chain is sweating the potential of a strike. Automotive parts producers up and down the tiers are preparing for a possible work stoppage next month that could result in devastating losses, depending on how long it lasted. For sub-tier suppliers already in dire financial straits, that threat is existential. And yes, it is. For the larger Tier 1 suppliers, a halt in vehicle production would result in millions of dollars in financial losses in short order. Lear Production in Hammond, they make the seats. They would have trouble. According to the company, some suppliers have tightened up spending and baked potential losses into forecasts for the second half of the year. The risk is apparent for those with high exposure to North America and the automakers at the negotiation table, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis. With newly installed UAW President Shawn Fain, he's turning out to be a stinker. He might end up with Jimmy Hoffa, to Chuck. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think they're real happy with him. President Shawn Fain going at automakers aggressively. Suppliers feel the tension ratcheting up, and they most assuredly have a game plan if a new deal isn't reached when the current contract expires September 14th. And Glenn Stevens, Executive Director of MIC Auto and Vice President of Mobility Initiatives for the Detroit Regional Chamber. So there's the deal, Chuck.
Well, and
they're threatening back and forth that they have a residual plan to go in. If you go on strike on us, we're going to do something.
Well, and so what you have to remember, though, too, is that what happens with this model that they have, it's so streamlined that literally, there's guys down the street making the seats, and they're showing up just on time to get thrown into the car as it comes off the assembly. It's a great system when it works, because then you don't have a whole bunch of inventory sitting all over the place.
It's a great system when you don't have everybody on welfare in this country.
Well, okay, so
They're still on welfare from the pandemic.
Well, it's a great system when you have enough people to make all the parts, and they all show up at the right time at the right place. But then as soon as one place goes on strike or they have a fire or anything, it shuts down the entire production line. And then it's like the chip shortage all over again. Now you got a bunch of cars with no chairs. You're like, well, we probably can't sell them that way.
No,
need to put seats in them
without seats.
Yeah. So I mean,
we're
again,
we're going to put a milk crate in your car.
So I think what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of pressure from Ford and people like that saying, you better figure this out because I need seats. I can't afford for you to not make me seats.